ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. I have spoken about different themes, some contemporary, some about something like mezuzah, and other things, very important concepts in Jewish tradition. But basically, most of the time, I use the Bible as my source. And you may think it is repetitive, but, you know, we see it and we read it with different eyes every year. I am always fascinated by the lives of our patriarchs. Abraham is the great iconoclast. He destroys idols. He says something that everybody disagrees with. He is in the most advanced society of those times, and he fights them. He says, what you're doing is incorrect, and he decides he'll never be able to change their mind. He's going to go back to a primitive type of life. He's going to become a shepherd. He's going to have sheep, grow animals, use their meat, the wool. You know, agriculture is already a further step in society, but he's going to go to primitive type of life and start all over again. So Abraham is a revolutionary, you know, a man with the vision that can see further away. He is not subsumed, he is not enchanted by the surroundings. He's an original thinker. He thinks differently. On the other hand, Jacob is the father of the Jewish people. He has 12 sons. He has problems with his children. You know, Jacob really transforms a family into a people. What is the role of Yitzchak, Isaac, the one in between? We know very little really about his life. He doesn't seem to have done much. There's a very important episode in his life, you know. He is tied on an altar. He's going to be offered as a sacrifice to God. That is the greatest episode of his life. But even then, he really has a passive role. Yitzchak did not go to Abraham and told him, you know, I want to be closer to God. Please offer me as a sacrifice. No. God tells Abraham, go and take your son and bind him, offer him as a sacrifice. Of course, there's a great message that is given to all of humanity. God does not want human sacrifices. A drama is enacted in order that you should learn that. God does not want human sacrifices. But Yitzchak is really passive in all this. You know, he gets married because they choose a wife for him. They fool him with a blessing. Everything happens to him. So what did this Yitzchak contribute? Why is he one of our forefathers? Why is he one of the patriarchs? Well, if you think about it, without Yitzchak, you don't have Yaakov. There's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If there's no Isaac, there's no Jacob. So he is somehow continuity, and that is very important. Many a time the role that we have in life is not to be revolutionary, but to make sure that what was learned already is not forgotten, so that we can continue from that on. You don't have to start from zero. What was accomplished before, you already know that, and you're going to transmit it to future generations. So basically the role of Yitzchak is to be continuity. Adin Steinsaltz, who is a very extraordinary man who has translated the entire Talmud into Hebrew, and he has done something that hasn't been done really for centuries. He says the following, you know, what did Yitzchak really do? The Torah says the following, that the Philistines had stuffed up the wells that Abraham had dug, trying to find water. You know, we're living in a desert, and water is very important. So what did Yitzchak do? He went and uncovered all the wells that the others had filled up. So even there's nothing original about Yitzchak. All he does is uncover the wells. But I think Steinsaltz says, you know, maybe you should think about that in a different way. You know, many a time we cover up things, and we think that if we don't deal with them, they will somehow disappear. You know, there were problems, sexual problems in the church, even in yeshivot, you know, From time to time, things happen, and in the very close-knit communities, there is somehow a gentleman's agreement. We won't talk about it, and as if that'll make it disappear. But Yitzchak says, no. When you have problems, you have to uncover them, because if you don't uncover them, they'll rot inside. They'll rot all of society that is in the midst of us. You know, we have to make sure that we face things the way they are. So maybe he's teaching us something very important. In today's society, you know, there's so many conventions, what is called politically correct. You know, sex hasn't been well defined. Even the unity of the family, the composition of the family is being questioned, it's being challenged. You know, a family doesn't consist necessarily of a male father and a female mother. There are other modalities, and you cannot talk about them. Everything has to be covered up. We're afraid of the little devils that are going to come out of there. And Yitzchak tells us, no. Even though others have stuffed up these wells, you have to uncover them, and you have to face reality. Of course, each case, I think, has to be dealt with individually. You have to be sympathetic to the plight of other people. But in general, I think the fact that we leave things covered and don't want to face them is a disservice to society. And if we uncover them, we will permit the continuous development of spirituality, morality, just as Yitzchak was. He was continuity. By uncovering things, he permitted that there should be growth in the future as well.